This is the lecture on Liz Howard's poem ThinkTent. The objectives are for you to, of course, listen to Liz Howard read her poem, the technical aspects of the poem, and technical aspects unique to Liz Howard and this poem, vocabulary and translations, and then a brief consideration of how you might incorporate Liz Howard's aspects into your own work if you were so inclined. So if we look at Liz Howard's vocabulary, it's quite different for poetry. She does use a lot more poetic devices that we would consider standard than Jeremy Dodds does. What I think is interesting about both of these writers is Jeremy Dodds majored in anthropology and received his master's in medieval Icelandic studies. And these other bases of knowledge seep into his work. Liz Howard studied cognitive neuroscience at the University of Toronto, and we see this language in most of her poems. So these other bodies of knowledge are part of their work. What I've done with Liz Howard is I've highlighted those words that are unique to her degree in her Bachelor of Science degree in navy blue. And also notice her repetition, but I've highlighted that as well. And I've also highlighted some of her repetition of sound. So she opens her poem with a quote by Ludwig Wittgenstein. And what I think that she does this quite a lot in her work, and I've noticed a lot of writers do. If you don't, you might consider it. I sometimes think it might be a launching pad into the work. So you'll see the dark blue that I've highlighted here and here and here. This is just language from her degree. You'll notice I've also highlighted, like I do in other poems, a repetition of sound. So we see a lot of, in that first stanza, D sounds, S sound beginning in that first stanza and carried over to the second. A repetition of me that works as a rhyming device. And we see the D is carried through in those first three stanzas right into the beginning of the fourth. A little bit of T sounding. And then starting in the fourth stanza, we're seeing a lot of S sounds that I did not highlight just because there are so many. A lot of S sounds, a lot of return to T sounds, and just a lot of really rich language and repetition of sound. Again, the cerebrum from her kind of other degree or interest or passion, a repetition in my, very slight, but it does, of course, work very well in kind of making us pause and listen. Some more language from her Bachelor of Science, and this beautiful repetition of speak that I think just works so evocatively in this poem. And then I haven't highlighted all of the repetition of sound, but it continues. As far as vocabulary goes, mens rea is a noun, and it's found in the study of law or in the legal system, and it's the intention or knowledge of wrongdoing that constitutes part of a crime. There are 4 different levels of mens rea: purpose, which is the same as intent legally, knowledge, recklessness, and negligence. Lumens is a noun found in the study of physics, and it means simply the measure of how much light you receive from a light bulb. So the more lumens, the brighter the light. Anima is a noun, and it's from psychology, and it's from the He studied with Sigmund Freud, Carl Jung, and it's his term for the feminine part of a man's personality. The masculine part of a woman's personality is called the animus. And amphibious, of course, is relating to living in or suited for both land and water. I've also given you some translations. She uses Latin at the very end of the poem, which the Latin translates to master of the highest degree. She also uses an Ojibwe word, and I located it from the Ojibwe People's Dictionary, and it is an operator of a shaking tent. So, if you're interested in incorporating um, the language or these aspects of Liz Howard into your work, I would suggest looking at those things in your life that you love, hobbies that you know really well, music that you could put in your poetry. I'm lately really fascinated by geography, and it's really cropped up in my poetry over the last year or two. Travel, so other places. Um, Sometimes you'll notice a lot of people who write about travel in their poems will sometimes write about architecture or painting or the sights and smells of cities and how it feels in different places. Or perhaps you love hockey and you want to incorporate the language of hockey or jargon from wrestling. And so these are just some ideas I'm tossing out there for you. And of course, you can invoke those other poetic devices that we've been talking about this semester, or you might do what Jeremy Dodds does, and he kind of doesn't use them. He's more interested in almost like turning language upside down or doing something quite different with it. So this, of course, is your choice for that upcoming assignment. I really love these two poems so much, and Liz Howard is, I think, just an absolutely wonderful poet. Her book, Citizen of the Shaking Tent, and I think I'm missing words in that, but it is just an absolutely stunning book. It's one of my go-tos since it's been released. Crabwise to the Hounds is equally just a real different kind of way of interacting with poetry and quite exciting if you're a poet. So I hope you have enjoyed these pieces. I hope they give you ideas for how to branch or stretch your own writing, which is the purpose. And I will see you soon. Okay, thanks. Bye.